I floated down this creek in my 12-foot skiff back in the spring when the water was high. Now during the dry month of August, there's scarcely a trickle running, but the fact that there's any flow at all tells me this creek is most likely spring-fed. During the driest months of summer, the creeks in the region that are only fed by rainwater will go completely dry. I was planning on floating the lower creek today on my paddleboard, but unfortunately, there's some big trees down that weren't there back in the spring. That's kind of sad. I was looking forward to running this creek again. Instead, I decided to take a stroll up the smaller fork of the creek and have a look around and see if I can locate any springs. So I'm taking it real slow today in this creek, and it's amazing what kind of things you notice when you go slow and you actually pay attention. There's a lot going on if you look down at the sand and the gravels, if you look at the creek bank and the moss, at the fish and crayfish down in the water, or if you look up at the forest canopy. I just spooked a little buck up ahead. It crossed from the low side of the creek over to the high side. I could actually see the velvet on its antlers. Good thing I've got my deer stalking moccasins on. We'll sneak up on him and get a photo. I think I'm gonna find the whole bird here any minute. If it's not hunting season and I run into somebody out in these kind of woods, it's always a little bit startling. You really don't expect anyone to be out here, and generally they're not. Just certain times of the year, sometimes I'll run into mushroom hunters or people scouting for deer season, but that's generally about it. In any kind of woods that you have to walk into for any substantial distance. So I was just up on top of that hill and crossed over this little feeder, and now I'm kind of down in the bottom of the draw, just paralleling the stream here. And when I was up on the hill, I saw a big owl flying up into a tree over there somewhere. I'm really amazed at how mild the bugs are this year, and I don't know what would be causing that other than maybe we had some pretty heavy rains over a sustained period this spring. Maybe that could be suppressing them. Maybe they didn't have the big hatch-outs that they normally would get, but typically in this area mosquitoes, ticks, chiggers, horseflies, everything you can think of. They're typically very thick, and I generally don't just go out and walk through the woods like this during the height of summer. But they're not bothering me at all today. There's a little bit of a breeze, which definitely helps, but it's definitely not high winds or anything like that. This deer trail is like a major interstate highway. This thing is really worn down, and it's interesting to see some of the steep terrain they can climb. I'm about to descend on their trail here. I'm looking at a stand of river cane. A lot of people that I bring out to the creeks want to call it bamboo, which I guess I would think it's probably a different species of the same type of plant as bamboo, but it is river cane, much smaller than bamboo. Still very useful though, makes a great fishing pole. Interesting to see such a big thick stand of river cane this high up on the creek. Wouldn't really expect that. I do see it sometimes, but there's quite a bit of it right here. A lot of it is dead though, I notice. A whole lot of it actually. This isn't like the creek Sydney and I floated our tubes. On that one, you're likely to run into people. It's kind of a known place and somewhat of a hot spot during summer. Bad pun. But if you want to walk a creek and have it all to yourself, don't walk the biggest creek, walk the second biggest creek. That's kind of what this is right here. Just a fork of a major creek. And it's just as interesting to me. Not quite as much water this time of year, but enough to cool off and plenty to see. This creek is definitely spring fed to some degree. The water is really cold right here, and I'm seeing that telltale moss or algae growing, and many of the springs around here will get that. I think I've just discovered a hobbit hole. Pennants are now available at cumberlandrover.com. Historically flown for signal purposes, a pennant is that indescribable something that your boat is missing. They can help you read the wind, increase visibility of your small craft, and they just look cool, fluttering from the masthead or yard of a lug sail. You can have any color you want, as long as it's bright red. I have 2 styles of pennant now available at cumberlandrover.com.